Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Ryan here.
I'm Seth.
And this is our first episode of a new podcast, Last Word on Sports. So we're over here just chilling out. We're watching a little bit of some preseason action on the TV. You'll see us looking at it occasionally. But, preseason's kicking off, so we're just going to get right in to some preseason talk because, of course, we're going to overreact to every single thing so far. You got any thoughts on it yet?
I'm just enjoying watching the Packers play. I don't think they're going to be that good this year, but they're looking pretty good in the preseason so far. Like you said, though, before, it's scrubs on scrubs, so
yeah,
just means we're less scrubby than the Houston's scrubs.
Yeah, scrubs on scrubs. You get an idea of depth from preseason, but other than that, especially now where you've got starters playing like almost nothing, it's really hard to get a good gauge on everything.
Yeah. I didn't watch this game last night, and we didn't even catch the beginning of this. I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers played at all. He made a play, maybe a drive. That's usually what they do.
Yeah, I don't think he went in at all this time. A lot of times it's becoming more and more common where guys just don't even play one drive in that first game anymore.
I mean, you wouldn't want a guy like him getting hurt anyway.
No.
Could you imagine him going down tearing his ACL game one of his one drive in the preseason?
Yeah, that'd be terrible. So, I mean, I like the idea of just keeping him out. I know the Raiders is going to start soon, and Derek Carr is not playing either, which I am perfectly fine with.
How do you feel about Derek Carr as your quarterback?
This is his prove-it year, for sure. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, about does John Gruden really like him, doesn't he? I think it's in the air. I think he's going to roll with him this year. We didn't really have a lot of better options. He gave him all the weapons. If this is it to me. I think he's got potential. I think that he's going to have a good year, but who knows?
What do you think's like a good year realistically for your Raiders this year?
I mean, it's going to be
5 wins, 6 wins.
It's going to be hard for us to have a winning season with that schedule. I mean, it's brutal, toughest in the whole entire league. So, yeah, I mean, I think we can eke out, 6, 7 wins would be good. It's going to be tough because, we've got more than a month where we don't even play a home game because of London.
Yeah.
What is that Raiders schedule, by the way?
The Raiders schedule is, a lot. Let me pull it up, actually. I think our first, there's no games, even bad teams, a lot of times you can see a game on their schedule and be like, okay, this is a pretty winnable game. Not really for us. We start off at the Broncos is probably our one winnable game.
In the first month, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, we go Broncos, then we got the Chiefs, Vikings, Colts, Bears in London, where the Raiders are always terrible in London. I don't know why we keep playing these London games.
Hold on, back that up. 9/22. Is that where your away schedule starts against the Vikings? Because you got that month there. Where'd we say that month starts where they don't play at home?
Yeah, I think
the 15th of September is your last home game until November 3rd.
Yeah.
How many games is that?
15th,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah. The schedulers didn't like us this year.
Pretty much 5 straight away games.
Yeah, it's going to be terrible. If we don't win that Broncos game, it's very likely that we can start the season 0-7.
I feel like a lot of people are betting on that happening. I feel like Vegas probably thinks that could happen. That's why I think it'd be really tough for you guys to win 6 or 7 games, just because of that. Starting that way is just demoralizing.
It's going to be hard to come back from. We got to really start fast. We got potential for a good offense, at least. If AB can get himself together.
I also feel like this is the year that we're going to really find out how good Antonio Brown is, because I don't think he's going to be getting 15 targets a game like how he was in Pittsburgh.
Carr historically likes to spread the ball around. It's going to be interesting to see a different style of play because Brown's going to demand it. He's not going to sit quietly and take his small amount of targets.
Is Marshawn Lynch still playing?
No.
Who's the starting running back?
We got Josh Jacobs. We drafted him in the first.
Josh Jacobs?
Yeah. So
who's your other wide receiver?
Tyrell Williams from the Chargers.
I feel like if you shut Antonio Brown down, I feel like
Tyrell's a good number 2 because he's a big guy. He's a fast guy. So if defenses are going to focus all their attention just on Brown, then Tyrell's going to get some deep bombs. We've also got this rookie, Hunter Renfrow, No, he doesn't play for the Padres.
From Clemson. Yeah.
Yeah, who's already projecting as our starting slot wide receiver. So we'll see. I mean, he could be solid. I mean, he's not going to be a guy who puts up a ton of stats, but could be a nice little safety valve in the middle of the field while Brown and Tyrell are on the outside. I think our offensively, I'm not worried. I think we're going to be able to put up points. Defense is still going to be a question.
When you were talking about doing your mock draft earlier, where was Antonio Brown going in that mock draft?
He's still looking around like he's dropping. I think today he went.
Is he a second round
guy? He still
guy?
went in the third. Yeah.
Third round?
Yeah, third round. He dropped a little after all of these antics. I mean, the guy's still going to be a great player. Yeah, he's got his issues off the field, but when he gets on the field, he can put up points. I mean, he could put up yards, and he will.
I don't think that's a totally bad deal either, like picking him up in the third round.
Yeah.
I feel like first round, definitely way too high.
Yeah.
Second round, that's a gamble. Unless it's like at the end of the second round and like you're the person that drafts first on the snake.
Exactly.
He could be he could be your second pick or your third pick right after.
Yeah, I like him at that ADP. I mean, he's been a top wide receiver in the league, for 8 years or something in a row. I mean, last year was a down year for him, and he still had 15 touchdowns.
You think he's still going to return punts on the Raiders?
No. We're not going to have him return punts. It'd be cool to see him jump over somebody, but that's not happening.
That was another part of his huge value in Pittsburgh is because he always had that chance of going deep on a punt return.
Yep.
Dude, I loved having him in there.
Yeah. I mean, if you look, too, I mean, people say it's a downgrade between Roethlisberger and Carr, and that's arguable, but if you look at Roethlisberger's numbers before Brown came into the fold, they're actually pretty similar to Carr's. So I don't think it's that much of a downgrade, at least as much as people are making it out to be. Mm. But I'm also a little biased.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you have to be biased.
Yeah.
I'm biased about Green Bay, but
yeah,
I'm also a realist. They're going to be like 7-9, 8-8, or 9-7 at best.
It's nice to see a realist there because a lot of people in Green Bay think they're just going to kind of get right back to championship form, which, I mean, I don't know. It could happen. I mean, they've still got a high ceiling. I mean, they could have a winning season. Likely, I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers is good, but he's definitely not 2011 to 2013 with Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb when he was hitting all those back shoulder passes and he was untouchable.
Yeah.
He'd have Jordy Nelson go 15 yards and just turn, and the ball would already be there by the time he turned on a dime.
The chemistry they had was crazy.
Throwing it right in the breadbasket.
What do you think of Devontae Adams this year?
I think he's going to have a good year. He pretty much has to. If Green Bay wants to do anything, I feel like he's the one guy that he's Aaron Rodgers' safety blanket.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, get open. Go do what you got to do. I'll scramble around in the backfield.
Yeah.
You get open, I'll find you.
He's going. Some are putting him top 3 wide receiver in fantasy. Do you think he's going to put up those kind of numbers?
If you somehow were able to get Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams on your team, I feel like your wide receiving core is going to be set. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to kind of gloss over Michael Thomas. I think he might fall to the second round, but I think he's going to be I don't know why. I just have that feeling he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver in the year this year. Yeah.
I'm actually kind of worried about Michael Thomas.
Dude's a monster. Drew Brees is toward the tail end of his career. They got Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, well, that's what worries me about Thomas is that Drew Brees, it looked like his arm strength was starting to go a little bit towards the end of last year. So I'm a little bit worried about Thomas just for that reason.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not on him, though. Oh, you're worried about his fantasy value just because of Drew Brees' status?
I mean, even fantasy and just regular stats. Yeah, I mean, is he going to be able to, are they going to be as pass-heavy a team, or are they just going to – I feel like they're going to transition more into a run team, run first to mask Brees' regression as a player.
We'll see. If Sean Payton wants to throw the ball, they're going to throw the ball.
Yeah.
That guy likes to run aerial attacks and score a lot of points.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I've always been a Drew Brees fan from him being in San Diego. So if he can have another good year, then I'm all for it.
Man, they got super lucky that Phillip Rivers was a good quarterback. Because you imagine, did they trade him away back in the day? I don't even remember.
They let him go. Yeah,
they just let him
go in free agency. Yeah, he had that year because what happened? He messed up his his throwing shoulder. So a lot of people are like, oh, he might not come back from this. There goes my dog. That's Seth Roth, by the way. He's also a Raider fan. But, they were afraid that he might not come back to it, so they let him go. And sure enough, he went off and did really well. It worked out for both of them in the end because you got Rivers. You can't just let him sit on the bench forever.
Dude's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah,
he's gonna go into the Hall one day.
Yeah. Well, speaking of kind of up and coming teams, what about the Browns, man? Do you think that hype is real?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. It's only his second year.
I mean,
you can have Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, but if Baker Mayfield can't throw them the ball,
he looks like the truth to me. I mean, he looks, speaking of preseason overreactions, I always remember the preseason when you had Peyton Manning and he'd come in for one drive and go like 6 of 7 for 80 yards and a touchdown,
Wipe his hands. Yep, we're good here. I'm good. I'm out.
And that's what it looked like with Baker Mayfield yesterday when I saw him playing, when I was looking at the highlights. I mean, he went in for one drive and he looked pretty surgical to me, and he didn't even have his starting receivers, and neither Landry nor Beckham played. So
you also have to take into consideration they were playing the Redskins.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it is preseason, not a lot of starters.
It's going to be a toss-up between who's last place in the NFC East this year, between the Giants and the Redskins.
Yeah, and the Giants are a dumpster fire, but the Redskins are pretty devoid of talent on the defensive side as well. But, I mean, I think so. I mean, to me, a lot of people are like, are the Browns overhyped? I think they're exactly hyped. They're going to compete. I mean, they might not make the playoffs quite yet, but I think they're going to be fun to watch, and I think that offense is going to be very high-powered.
I feel like Cleveland fans should be very excited if they go 10-6.
Yeah.
I feel like 9-7 is a very good possibility.
Yeah.
What's their schedule? Can you pull up their schedule?
Yeah, just being in a tough division, that's going to make things difficult. I mean, the Ravens were a playoff team last year. The Steelers are, always competing too.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
And now with A.J. Green out, I don't think the Bengals are doing anything.
I think the Bengals had a shot, but yeah, I mean, they're already hitting injuries.
They said he's going to be out for 8 weeks or something like that? 6 weeks?
Yep.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. If I could get A.J. Green in the 5th or 6th round this year, I'm taking him.
Oh, yeah. I did a mock today, and he went right before me in the 5th, right before I picked. I mean, it's a high risk, sure, because he's seen some injuries recently, but
you might get made fun of, but I'm not playing to win the first 6 weeks. I'm playing to win the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah, you draft to win a championship. You draft to win in December. I mean, to me, there's no question on if I'm going to make the playoffs. I don't miss playoffs in my league, so I'm playing for guys that are going to be in for the long run. So let's see. The Browns, they're starting off with the Titans week 1.
1-0.
Which should their schedule's not terrible. And then they go to the Jets, who are another winnable game. We've got the Rams, Ravens, Niners, Seahawks. I mean, okay, so they play the NFC West, which is kind of, other than the Seahawks, I'm not too scared of the teams there yet. A lot of rebuilding, like the Niners and the Cardinals. Looks like...
I was listening to Colin Cowherd. This is probably a month ago. He was talking about the most interesting schedules in the league this year. Have you seen the Jets' schedule this year?
No.
The Jets' furthest away game is in Ohio. The rest of their games are all on the East Coast throughout the year. They don't leave the Eastern time zone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy this year.
How is that even possible?
Look up the Jets' schedule this year. They have one of the most fascinating schedules I've ever seen.
Yeah, compared to the Raiders, probably travel more than them when we go to London than the Jets in the entire season then.
So where does that start?
So they're let's see here. Yeah, the Bills, Browns, Patriots, Eagles, Cowboys is
at
probably
home.
their... Oh, it's at home,
Yeah.
So Patriots,
Florida. They got the Jaguars and the Dolphins. Home. Washington. Home. Cincinnati. Home. Baltimore. They don't leave the East Coast.
Wow.
The furthest they go away is what? What did I just say? They go to Cincinnati. Who is a very defeatable team on the road.
Oh, yeah. Especially, when do they play Cincinnati? Let's see. They play them twice, but on the road, right? No,
they're not in their division.
I'm sorry, yeah. Back in December, so Green could be back by then, but who knows what other injuries they'll have by then as well.
He might get turf toe or some shit. He's been susceptible to turf toe over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's an intense injury.
Wow.
Though. You basically can't plant off your big toe.
Ugh.
That sounds like a terrible injury
Sounds
to
very
have.
painful. Yeah.
I feel like you don't realize how much you use your toes until you hurt them, and then you're like, dude, this sucks. I can totally get why turf toe is a thing now.
Yeah.
So when I was young, I was like, turf toe, lace up, get out there.
Yeah.
Take a couple painkillers.
Yeah. Yeah, nope. Not for, I mean, small little injuries out there can add up. So the Jets have a chance at making some noise just because of their schedule. As well, the Browns, I mean, that Browns schedule was winnable, very winnable, because they also go to the AFC East, which, the East has the Patriots, but other than that, I mean,
the Dolphins.
Dolphins could go 0-16 this year.
That'd be really fun to see.
Yeah, the Dolphins just don't have a lot right there right now. I mean, I think, yeah, Dolphins will probably be the worst team in the league. I think.
You think they're going to be worse than Oakland? Oh.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I won't be surprised if Oakland's record turns out to be worse in the end. But come on, the Raiders have more talent than the Dolphins.
What's Miami's schedule? I know we're spending a lot of time looking at schedules, but now that you just brought that up and we're talking about who could be the worst, I kind of want to see before I make like any concrete statements. I don't want to be talking out of my ass when I make my predictions.
Yeah. I mean, because, you do have to think about that. I mean, I'm just thinking talent.
Do you know what's crazy? Tom Brady has historically had a hard time winning in Miami.
Yep.
Is that the only place that he plays where he has a losing record?
Probably.
I think he has a winning record in every other stadium in the U.S. against every other team except for Miami. I think it's the only stadium where he has a losing record.
You had the Miami Miracle last year.
Yeah.
Miami,
oh yeah. My God.
Got our producer inputting some stuff in there. Shout out to Daniel.
Yeah, I might be speaking every now and then.
Nice. Okay, so we got looks like I don't know what divisions they're up. Let's see. I think they're in the AFC North because they start with the Ravens. They got the Steelers later, so that's a tough division to play. Of course, they're in the East.
They're starting with the Ravens.
Yeah.
0-1.
Oh yeah.
I'll say they break even at 1-1 against the Patriots.
Yeah.
That just seems like a game that nobody expects them to win. Watch them beat New England.
Cowboys. So they're playing the NFC East. They got Cowboys, Redskins. I'm sorry. So that's a solid division. I mean, they could split it if they're lucky.
Play the Colts.
Eagles. Yeah, they got the Colts. Bengals. I mean, it's not a terrible schedule, but I mean, they could lose every game here.
I don't think the Giants are going to be that good this year.
No.
But I do think they'll beat Miami in New York.
Yeah, I think they'll win that. That's a winnable game. I mean, Dolphins will compete for the worst record in the league. I'm optimistic about the Raiders that we can pull through, but
preseason prediction 3-13.
I'm going to say 2-14.
2-14.
2-14 for the Dolphins. I'm going to say after looking at the Browns schedule more in depth, I'm going to say they're going to 9-7 is realistic for them, and they may even do better because that defense is looking pretty good too for the Browns. All those draft picks they got from trades are really adding up. They've got all kinds of young talent there. Okay, so how about regression, guys? Who do you think maybe playoff teams or even winning teams, who's going to get worse?
Kansas City, but I don't think they're going to get that much worse. Would they go 13-3 last year?
Yeah.
I think they're still going to go like 11-5, 12-4, but
yeah. I mean, they're just the bar they set is ridiculously high to keep up, but they're not going to get much worse. Come on now.
I think the Chargers are going to regress a little bit. I also think they'll make the playoffs this year again.
Yeah.
Who else was in the? Let's do the AFC first. Who all made the playoffs? Yeah, the Patriots, Colts, Chiefs, Texans, Ravens, and the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Ravens are going to regress.
Yeah, their division's kind of. I don't know. I still think they'll make the playoff. I still think they'll win their division.
You think they win it over the Steelers? That division I can't figure out. I really can't.
Ben Roethlisberger also has this thing where he can turn players into really good players, like Juju Smith-Schuster and James Conner.
I mean, that offense is. Are they really going to miss a beat without Antonio Brown? Maybe a little.
Le'Veon Bell comes up. I'm going to hold out. Cool. James Conner, you're in, and he finishes like number 5 running back in the fantasy standings at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to regress too much. As much as I want them to, and I want them to be terrible, so that they're like, you guys did, you devalued your players, but I don't think they will. Yeah, I think they're going to be good again, and they'll probably make the playoffs, after narrowly missing out.
I don't think New England's going to regress at all. I think they're going to be
No.
They're gonna win their division again for what, the 19th straight year or something like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I'm not counting the Patriots out until they're out. I mean, I've been thinking it's going to happen too for years. But you know what's going to happen is that, well, get this story. The Patriots start slow historically, so you're going to see it, and don't be surprised if they're 2-2 or coming into week 5, and then people start talking about, the same old story, and then they're going to go and win the whole thing.
Then they'll pull off like a 10-game winning streak.
Get some water right here. But, yeah, Ravens are my candidate who I think are going to regress to just maybe miss out completely on the playoffs. I mean, that offense is just unsustainable to me. Very unsustainable offense. Lamar Jackson in the preseason has still not looked accurate. And that running offense he's got, you see it. The quarterback does well his rookie season, and unless you start learning how to pass better, it's not going to.
I've never been a fan of teams that have a running quarterback.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a team with a running quarterback that runs a lot that's been really successful outside of Cam Newton?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
A couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl and lost.
That's really it. I mean, they're usually one off because teams start figuring out how to stop them, and then they can't pass.
I would say the Michael Vick Falcons, but he wouldn't run unless he had to. He would look to pass first, and then he would take off.
Exactly.
And nobody could touch him.
He was still a pass first, and you're seeing Lamar Jackson as a run first. Run first quarterbacks, it doesn't last because you start to get figured out, and that offense, and not only their offense, but they lost a lot of defensive starters too.
Terrell Suggs,
yes,
gone. Who's he playing for now?
Where did
Arizona?
Suggs? Did Suggs leave, or I think it might have just been Mosley? Let me see which one
Terrell
left.
Suggs is not playing for the Ravens this year. I know that.
Let's see. Where'd he go? Let's see.
I think he went to Arizona.
Oh, maybe. T-Sizzle. Yeah, Arizona. You're right. He went to Arizona. Yeah. What about Mosley? I think Mosley left too, didn't he?
C.J. Mosley.
He was their other good linebacker. I know they lost Weddle.
I want to say Denver.
I want to say the Jets. Jets, yeah. He went to the Jets. I mean, look, they lost a lot of their defense, and that was the reason that they were, they could play that kind of ball last year. Now without a good defense, when they get behind in games, it's not going to work out as well to run that ball.
The Ravens used to have such a good defense back in the day, like all my years watching football growing up in like the early 2000s to mid 2000s. Yeah. Ed Reed just made the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Dude, Ed Reed, Chris McAllister, Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Haloti Ngata.
They just had ridiculous defense. I like that. I like that when you have those teams with the good defense that still focus on that instead of just going all in on offense. But we'll see how it is. I mean, they still got some really good corners out there, so they'll be solid. But I don't know how they'll do. Let's see. How about some free agency movers? So guys with new teams who I think they might do okay. Did you hear about the Duke Johnson trade?
Yeah, didn't he go to Houston?
Yeah. He went to Houston.
We're watching the Houston and Green Bay game right now.
Yep.
It's the one we have on. It's a replay from last night.
Houston, Green Bay. I'm just waiting for that Raider game, too.
Who's their starting running back? Lamar Miller still?
Yep.
And then they have Alfred Blue still?
No, Blue is now in Jacksonville, I want to say.
Oh, hey, about that Raiders game, it is 4:58, so I'm not sure what time it started again.
Oh, let's throw that over. We're gonna.
All right, we're going over.
And this one's over, too, anyway.
Going over to the Raiders.
Yep. It's about to start. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at Lamar Miller, okay, so say you look up the word pedestrian in the dictionary, pretty sure Lamar Miller's picture is right there.
Pedestrian?
Yeah.
Pedestrian's a good word.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a bad running back.
If I had Lamar Miller on my fantasy team and he put up 10 points every single week, I'd be like, you're my lock. You're my number 2.
Oh, yeah. I had him in a lot of leagues last year. I mean, he's not going to get – just his combination of pass catching and rushing gave him a good floor. But his ceiling is terrible. His ceiling is his floor. He's like this. So they needed someone else there. And I think Duke Johnson I think I'm a little bit higher on this than a lot of people are. Because Duke Johnson's been a pass-catching back for most of his career. He's never had more than 360 rushing yards, but he's also never had less than 420 receiving yards in a season.
360. That's a terrible stat line.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about, like, the baseline for, like, a good running back and a good wide receiver is, like, 1,000 yards a year.
Oh,
you know how many
yeah.
yards that averages to a game? That's 62 yards a game to get to 1,000 yards in a season. Doesn't that seem super low?
It does.
I feel like for the really high-end guys, like 2,000 yards, like, that's only 124 yards a game.
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of high, but, you know, you have one breakout week where you have 170. You know, that makes up for you only having 70 yards the next week.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising when you see it that so few have actually done the 100.
And then Julio Jones comes out and he's like, I'm going to catch 3,000 yards this year. Do you know that no receiver's ever caught 2,000 yards? I think Megatron made it to like 1,900 and something.
Yeah, I'm like, I love the preseason superlatives, but man, I don't know, that 3,000 yards, that's a little much.
Matt Ryan doesn't target Julio Jones enough to have him get to 3,000 yards. Isn't that crazy, by the way? The dude's a genetic freak. He's like 6'4", and Matt Ryan throws him the ball 3 times a game.
It doesn't make sense to me. He's finally started giving him some red zone looks last year. It just didn't make sense that.
I don't think he caught a touchdown last year until like week 7 or 8.
Really?
I was super
He probably did, and then he started to catch him after that. Yeah, he went for like a huge drought of not even having a red zone look. So, yeah, I don't know. He's probably underutilized.
That's on Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's got to find ways to get him the ball.
Never been the biggest Matt Ryan fan either. You know, he has my first name as a last name. He just a little weird to me.
My first name as a last name.
Yeah. So. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think Duke Johnson might kind of put up a little bit of points. I think he'll be fantasy relevant. Don't be surprised if he actually usurps Lamar Miller for that role.
I think if anything, they'll end up splitting time. It'll be a 50-50 split by committee, just like the Saints used to do. They also have DeAndre Hopkins. He's really good. Yeah.
To me, it just means Lamar Miller is not fantasy relevant, period, because he's going to eat into his pass-catching role.
How do you feel DeAndre Hopkins is going to be in fantasy this year?
He's my wide receiver 1 overall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, he's just too talented not to. He's good. I mean, it's a toss-up, you know, between, like you mentioned, Michael Thomas and then Devontae Adams. But I kind of think Hopkins is the one I'd like to go with just because, you know, there's the continuity there. You know, you don't know how this new offense is going to be with the Packers. You don't know how Drew Brees is going to regress. So Hopkins, I mean, they got basically the same weapons as last year with now Deshaun Watson having a full healthy offseason. I like Hopkins.
Knock on wood, because I would really like him to be my fantasy quarterback. If I get a chance to take him, I'm going to take him.
Yeah.
Get him in about the 7th or 8th round.
Yeah. I mean, and Watson's one of those rare guys who runs, he passes as well as he runs. He's a really good passer, and then he takes off, and he could take it to the house any time he runs.
I'm going to wait out all these people that are trying to draft Patty Mahomes in the 3rd round, 2nd round.
No, I couldn't believe it in my mock round. Patty Mahomes went in the 2nd. I was like, no.
Unless you're in a league where you can start 2 quarterbacks, that's the dumbest thing you could do.
Yeah.
I always loved it when people would draft like Aaron Rodgers like in the 1st round. I'd be like, yes, I already know you're not going to do that well this year.
Yeah.
I already got you beat.
Who else is good? You know who I like? John Brown over at the Buffalo Bills.
John Brown.
Remember John Brown?
Didn't he play for Arizona?
Yeah, he was with Arizona for a while.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't followed that guy at all over the last couple of years. He was not a guy I ever had on my fantasy team.
Right.
And every time I checked his numbers, it was just pedestrian.
Yep. He's a boomer bust guy. He's either he's the guy who will get you like a few catches for a touchdown every couple weeks. I think it's a decent fit with him over with the Bills, though.
Is David Johnson the running back for the Cardinals still?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he had that one year where he had like that good stretch of like 6 or 7 games. And then was it 2016 or 17?
Yeah.
He was going really high in the 1st round, and then he tore his ACL or something like that. And he was
broke
out
his
for the whole
arm,
year. Broke his arm.
last year. No, 2 years ago. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So in last season.
What happened to him last year? Did he do anything last year?
Well, his problem was that offense was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so
the whole team was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, just look at what they kept trying to run him up the gut every play. He was sapped basically. I mean, they fired their offensive coordinator and they brought in Byron Leftwich, who was like, I think he was the quarterback's coach or something. I mean, remember he used to be the Jaguars quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he was,
Byron Leftwich.
and I mean, their offense just never had a chance last season. But despite it all, if you look at Johnson, he still had a decent year. He was still, I think, the RB10 So with Josh Rosen and a crappy O-line and no one at wide receiver except for Fitzgerald, so I think he's gonna bounce back this year. I like David Johnson.
David Johnson. We'll see how it goes. All right, here we go. Opening
Here's
kickoff
our
for the Raiders
kickoff for the Raiders. Looks like Rams are receiving the ball. Oh, and he dropped it. Oh, let's see him get decked. So a lot of times on these pods, we're gonna record on Sunday nights during Sunday Night Football. So we'll get some nice commentary on those Sunday night games too.
Blake
Bortles, I forgot he's a Bill now.
No, he's not. He plays for the Rams.
I mean, sorry, Rams. Why did I say Bills?
Yeah,
he's on the Rams now.
Dude, he was one guy I was really high on like 3 years ago, and I drafted him back when they had Julius Thomas, Allen Robinson, and Allen Hurns.
Yeah.
I was like, man, the Jacksonville offense is going to be pretty good. Who was their running back? T.J. Yeldon?
Yeah, T.J. Yeldon then,
God.
yeah.
Isn't Sean McVay like in his 30s?
Yeah. I think 1 year he had like a player that was older than him or something. Yeah, but the guy's a mastermind. Sean McVay, if you heard him talk, like he has a photographic memory or something. Like he'll tell you exact plays that happened. If you give him the time of the game, they've tested him on it. Tell him what play did you run with 13:48 left in the first, and he'll tell you the exact play. It's crazy. The guy's a football savant. There we go. Who else do I like? So, how about Jared Cook over with the Saints? What do you think?
I think he's over the hump.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think he's being a little overhyped.
Green Bay signed him a couple years ago, and he didn't really live up to the potential that they thought he was going to there.
Yeah.
I remember that year that Green Bay got him. He went pretty high in the fantasy draft as far as tight ends goes. I think people were starting to draft him in like the 6th or the 7th.
Yeah.
But I remember that particular year my dad drafted him. I remember having a phone conversation with my dad, and he was like, Jared Cook's not scoring me any points, man.
Yeah, and I think he got hurt for a while, too. He came back in the playoffs. Remember, he had that catch that
Who's
saved
he all
the
played?
game.
He's played for a multiple of teams. He played for the Rams. He played for the Raiders, right?
Yeah. He played for
the
someone
Packers.
before the Rams, too. Who was it before? Yeah,
he plays for the
Packers, Saints. I mean, he's up there. I think he's like 33 years old.
Drew Brees likes to spread the ball around.
Yeah, and he likes his tight end.
If Jared Cook was 5 years younger, I would say, hey, guy's going to have a good year.
Yeah.
Like Travis Kelce. If Travis Kelce played for with Drew Brees,
oh, man.
I would try as hard as I could to get Travis Kelce.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think he's being a little overvalued. But, I mean, really, outside of Michael Thomas, you got Kamara, but who else is Breeze going to throw the ball to?
I don't know.
Oh, he got it.
Their offense is going to go through Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And Drew Brees is just so good.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult to stop both of those guys.
Uh-oh, someone's already hurt for the Raiders. Who is it? Don't be a high guy. We might have some Fitzmagic going on with the Dolphins, too, as it looks like he's going to start the year as their quarterback.
Fitzmagic. It started off as Fitzmagic last year. I picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick in like week 2 last year when he was playing for the Buccaneers, and he was just balling out. And then
oh, yeah.
Fell flat on his face, and he was not the same after that.
Yeah.
Didn't they end up getting rid of him by the end of the year last year?
No, I mean, that was one of the most ridiculous quarterback situations in the whole league.
Jameis Winston just took right over, didn't he?
No, well, they kept benching the other. They'd bench it. Like what happened was you'd have Fitzpatrick starting, then he'd start bombing out like he always does, and then you get Jameis to come in. Well, Jameis was doing the same stuff. So they'd bench Winston. It was just a back and forth all year. It was ridiculous. They'd have a bad half. I mean, it's no wonder the coach got fired. It was terrible.
Who's their coach now? Bruce Arians?
Yeah, Bruce Arians came back. I mean, I'm pretty high on that whole.
Bruce Arians is a pretty good coach.
He's a really good coach. If anybody's going to coach Winston up, it's going to be him. I think Winston has a bounce back year with Arians as his coach. If you look back, they got a history together. He's liked him since he was young.
Bounce back year. What's the best year, Jameis? How long has he been in the league? 3 years? Him and Mariota?
This is his 5th year or is it fourth? I think it's.
Has it been that long already? No, dude, it was like 2015, 14. Because Mariota was the quarterback the year they played Ohio State in the finals and they lost, right?
Right.
In a NCAA.
Let's see. Stats. I mean, there was one year where Winston had a pretty good year. His issue is turnovers. I mean, he's always turning it over. So, yeah, this is his 5th year.
I've never been super high on Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota.
I like Mariota.
I think Mariota has more potential, but he's not living up to it.
Yeah, he just can't stay healthy.
It's also the team he's on, though. Who else is really good on the Titans offense?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you who their 2 wide receivers are right now.
Yeah, they got Corey Davis. He's coming into his 3rd year after a solid 2nd year. His 1st year, he was pretty injury riddled. They got some. I think they got who'd they get at wide receiver? I don't know. They got another receiver. Oh, they got that Adam Humphries guy. Overrated, in my opinion. But, yeah, I mean, Winston had his first 2 seasons, he threw for over 4,000 yards. He's never been over 30 touchdowns, though.
I'm starting to feel like that's the benchmark, though, for quarterbacks. You know how we were talking about 1,000 yards for a running back?
Yeah.
If you're not throwing for 4,000 yards as a quarterback, like, that's a bad season.
In this day and age, that's really true.
Pretty much all the big-name quarterbacks throw for almost 5,000. Brady, Rodgers, Breeze.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think
they may not get to 5, but they're definitely all of those
close.
guys are over 4.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's true.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah, even Stafford. Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys who aren't even considered elite like Stafford are doing stuff like that nowadays. That's true. What else do we got? When do you think Rosen starts? He's going to take over at some point, right? For the Dolphins.
They're going to let Fitzpatrick ride 3 or 4 weeks just because he's the veteran guy, and then they're going to give Josh Rosen a chance if they're 0-3, which is a good chance they probably will be.
Yep. Yeah, he'll turn into Fitztragic from Fitzmagic eventually. We all know that. Yep. I think on my defenses, who I like this year to kind of make a big step is the Colts.
Everybody's thinking the Colts are going to be good this year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how they can get worse. They didn't really lose anybody. They only added.
You got T.Y. Hilton. They got Andrew Luck. Who's their running back?
Marlon Mack.
He
looks
solid. I picked him up last year in fantasy football, and he actually panned out pretty well. He was a nice guy to have on my bench.
Yeah.
I didn't start him, but
he was hurt a few games.
There were a couple times I plugged him in. He'd get me 15 points.
Yeah. Yeah, he's solid. I mean, especially in that offense where you got Luck throwing the ball. I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, on defense they got Darius Leonard coming into his 2nd year, who was the defensive rookie of the year. Now, 2nd year, he should only improve. And then you got Malik Hooker. He was their 1st-round pick 2 years ago, and he missed his rookie season with the ACL. So that defense is only improving. Who else did they add? They also added Justin Houston to rush the passer, remember, from KC.
Really?
Yeah.
How old is he now? I did not know that he went to Indianapolis.
He is getting up there. I mean, but he's still a good situational pass rusher.
Kansas City's defense has definitely regressed then if they lost Justin Houston.
I mean, it was already
Does
terrible.
Tamba Hali still play?
I think they re-signed him. Let me see.
I'm a little behind on the Chiefs' defense.
I mean, their defense was already terrible last season, and they didn't get any better as far as I've seen.
They need Patty Mahomes to throw 50 bombs again, but I don't think he's not going to. If he does, hey, the guy might be the truth. I believe in the sophomore slump, though.
Can the Chiefs' defense really even regress more than they already were?
I don't think, now that Justin Houston's gone,
I mean,
Eric Berry, is Eric Berry still play for them?
No, he's out too.
I can't tell you a single person on that team.
No.
On that defense.
Chiefs defense ranking. No. Let's see. 2018 defensive rankings. I'm pretty sure Chiefs were either dead last or like in the like bottom 3 defenses in terms of like points allowed and stuff. I mean, they were terrible. I mean, and that's part of why the Mahomes had such good stats too. They were just a terrible
out of
defense.
necessity.
Yeah. 31. They were the 31st
That
defense.
game last year with the Rams against the Chiefs, it's playing on TV now. by the way. They were just showing highlights
was
of it.
freaking
Dude,
good.
that was probably one of the best NFL games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The Rams were up by 10, and then all of a sudden they were down by 4.
Yeah.
Like, in a span of like 2 minutes. And they got Clay Matthews now. I think that guy's over the hump.
Oh, yeah. He's been around a while. He's not going to do much.
2010, 2011, when Green Bay won the Super Bowl, he was like the guy.
Oh, yeah. I always loved Clay Matthews because he had long hair like me.
The Predator. I always loved how he used to do the Predator thing when he would sack the quarterback. Like,
Oh, yeah. Clay Matthews was cool back then, man. He's not quite anymore. Yeah, and speaking of which, so Baltimore had the number 1 defense last year, and now they lost so many.
As far as
players. No, yards allowed. So let's see, even
is that what the whole baseline is?
So yeah, we've got that. Let's look at points per game and see who is first there. We can sort it like that. But yeah, yards allowed, Ravens were least. So we've got Chicago least points just by 0.2.
Oh, who is
Baltimore
the worst?
Second. Worst for
Kansas
points
City?
allowed. Actually,
Oakland.
Oakland.
30 points a game almost.
So Kansas City somehow only 26.3, so they were 24th. Points allowed. They allowed a lot of yards, but I mean, still bottom third of the league. But looks like they're only going to get worse to me.
That average is definitely a little askew because they gave up 50 to the Rams.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it
It's
could
over
have been
double what their average is.
Yeah, that's true. So that super skewed it. Yeah, we got that.
Seattle's defense is regress. Isn't Bobby Wagner out? Their middle linebacker.
They just
Something just happened with Bobby Wagner that I saw.
Well, he got the extension. He's like the highest paid linebacker ever now.
No, I want to say he's out, but I'm not 100% positive. I think he got hurt.
I don't think so. Let's see.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, he just got his extension. That'd be big.
I love Bobby Wagner.
Oh, yeah.
I hate the Seahawks, but Bobby Wagner's awesome.
Yeah, Seahawks, the good, the bad. Wagner to take. Oh, you're right. Yeah, Seahawks Wagner to take break after procedure.
I thought he was going to sit out a couple games.
Was going to get a little break here just to get right after having a. I love how the preseason they don't have to talk about injuries, so they say like nothing about them.
Wait, go back up. I think it said something right here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it doesn't say.
Lower body.
Maybe like an ankle or a thigh or something like that.
Yeah, it looks like playing he could play. Yeah, he might play a little bit during the preseason, but so it's nothing major.
He's only 29.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. What's going on? Is this during Hard Knocks?
Oh, it'll be on Hard Knocks this week.
Has it started already?
Yeah, it started last week.
Yep. I watched it. I mean, I know it's terrible for the team, but I mean, it's the Raiders, man. And any little fix of the Raiders I can get, I will definitely take.
You think it's terrible for the team?
I mean, it's a distraction, yeah. And the coaches hate it too because, they don't want to give away a lot of their playbook and stuff and have that inside info with the cameras following them around. So kind of stifles you a little bit. But, hey, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs just going to get worse. They lost a lot of people. Tom Mahaley retired a year ago without us really even knowing. We got Mike Glennon as the Raiders' backup. They got Nathan Peterman is also on the team, which is a running joke.
That guy still plays in the NFL.
I don't know how. Apparently, Gruden really loves him.
Didn't the Buffalo Bills bench? I don't even remember who their starting quarterback was last year. And then they put Nathan Peterman in, and he threw like 5 interceptions in the first 5 drives that they had.
Yep. Yeah, well, a few years ago, you had Tyrod Taylor got hurt, so it was against the Chargers. Yeah, 5 first-half interceptions. And interestingly enough, I picked up the Chargers defense as a streamer because my defense was on bye that week. So I had the Chargers, and I was so stoked in almost all my leagues. That was pretty cool.
Dude, if you somehow get that one defense in fantasy that's just on, you're good. A couple years ago, I was mentioning how I had Peyton Manning when he threw all those touchdowns, like 55 that year that he set the record.
Right.
That particular year, I don't know if you remember, but Kansas City's defense was on fire that year. For some reason, there was like 8 straight weeks where they had a touchdown either from a punt return or a kick return from their special teams, or their defense had like a pick 6.
Wow.
There was like a period of like 6 or 7 straight weeks where Peyton Manning was getting me 35 and the Chiefs defense was getting me over 20.
Oh man.
So I was basically starting the game with like 50 to 60 points between my defense and quarterback.
Wow.
is really nice.
Yeah.
The handicap. And I had Adrian Peterson on my team that year.
Ooh, when he was good.
I got so lucky because he was my first overall number 1.
Right.
And I didn't get Peyton Manning until like the 12th round. I think he was my last pick in the draft that year. And then I picked the Chiefs defense off waivers. So like, and I had Brandon Marshall on my team that year too, but he was really good for Chicago.
Oh yeah.
My team was stacked. I cruised. I think that year was the best year I ever had. I started off like 10-0.
Dang.
Cruised into the semifinals and lost to my dad, who lost in the finals.
Dang.
Or no, I think my dad was on the other side of the bracket, but he lost in the finals to the guy that beat me.
Right.
My buddy won, but he hasn't won since.
Yeah.
That was like 5 years ago.
Oh, nice. Dang. Oh, I don't know what that is. Okay,
Completely
cool.
changed the way that I watch football once I started playing fantasy football. It turned me into being like a casual fan to starting to watch games that I would never otherwise watch.
Right.
Like I would never have any reason to watch like Oakland versus LA unless I had somebody on the team like Todd Gurley.
Yeah, that's what's cool. I mean, it makes basically every game fun. I mean, nowadays I've got on my TV, I'll throw the NFL Red Zone on.
Red
and
Zone's
then,
the best.
I have another game just streaming from my computer. Red Zone's so awesome for fantasy. It's
Did
just
they have
constant
Red Zone
scoring.
before fantasy football? I don't think so.
Probably not.
Whoever invented that knew they were like, hey, fantasy football guys are going to eat this up. We're going to sell them up. How much is it a month?
I mean,
$60 a month?
No. It's like $3 more a month for me.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, it's only $3, and that's
Totally
like
worth it.
for the whole like 10 sport channels. I get the NFL Network, the Red Zone. Yeah, it's only like $3 more. Like 1 year I canceled it after, and I'm like, you know what? I'm too lazy to call. It's only $3. I'm just gonna leave it all year.
$3 a year.
Yeah.
Dude, you figure it's like $1 a month because the season spans like a little over 3 months, like into 4 months.
Well, not $3 a year. Sorry, it's $3 a month.
Or $3 a month.
A year,
Still
that'd
worth
be
it.
nice.
Still worth it.
Yeah. Come on, $3.
That's $1 a week.
Yeah.
It's less than $1 a week.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Sleepers?
Quick sleepers at each position.
Each position?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. At quarterback, sleeper at quarterback. Who would I pick? I'd have to be looking at a list of quarterbacks. Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
I feel like he's got a lot of potential. That offense is just so high-powered.
Yeah. I mean,
Todd Gurley,
true.
Brandon Cooks. I feel like Brandon Cooks could be a very good sleeper wide receiver.
Yeah, he could definitely outrate his ADP for sure. I'm going to go with Jameis Winston again. I kind of already talked about him. I think he could be like the super sleeper for the QB1 with Bruce Arians running that offense. I mean, they got Mike Evans is still there. I think he's got a good chance to be the QB1. I mean, a sleeper, not a great chance, but I mean, he's got a chance.
Sleeper running back. I feel like sleeper running backs are always the toughest.
Yeah.
I don't even have one at the running back position, to be honest with you, off the top of my head.
I'm going to say Kalen Ballage. Right now, he's going after the 10th round, and there's a lot of word that he could be the starter in Miami over Kenyon Drake, and Kenyon Drake is going in about the I think maybe the 5th round or something right now.
Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, not a big fan of either, but I mean, once you get past to the 10th round, I mean, you're just throwing darts anyway. Almost.
Oh yeah, you're just hoping something sticks to the wall.
Yeah.
Sleeper wide receiver. This is always my favorite one because I feel like there's so many people that could have a breakout year. I don't even know if he's going to play. He's a rookie. I think DK Metcalf's a freak.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was one I considered. I mean, he's definitely, and he's already really looking good for the Seahawks. I mean, they lost Doug Baldwin. Somebody's got to replace him.
That is true. I didn't even think about that. He just retired.
Yeah, he just retired. So I mean, you saw Tyler Lockett was starting to develop last year, but I mean, Metcalf's floor is way higher.
Who do they have? Rashad Penny and Sony Michel are their running backs?
Rashad Penny and Chris Carson.
Chris Carson? Where'd Sony Michel go?
Patriots.
Patriots?
Patriot, yeah.
Did he play there last year?
He did, yeah. Yeah,
No.
he was drafted last year in the second.
I'm off by 2 years.
Yeah.
Sony Michel used to play for the Seahawks, though, didn't he? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
No. He was a rookie last year.
Oh, was
Sony
he?
Michel, yeah. It's on the Seahawks.
I'm thinking of a different guy then from the Seahawks that they had one of their other backups.
Mike Davis?
No.
Maybe? I don't know. How about a tight end sleeper? You got one?
I don't think George Kittle's going to repeat what he did last year.
I think he's going to regress a little too, yeah.
He's going to regress a lot. Did you see how many targets he had last year? He had an absurd amount of targets for tight ends. I think he had like 150 targets or something like that.
I mean, and there really wasn't anybody else there.
But the thing is, out of all those targets, he did have the most yards a tight end has ever had in the history of the NFL last year.
Yeah.
But he had 150 targets, and he only caught 80 of those passes. He missed almost half of them.
Wow.
Now, quarterback has a lot to do with that. We'll see how Jimmy Garoppolo does this year. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is as good as everybody thinks he is.
Yeah, me either. Typical Patriots backup who gets overvalued.
Oh, dude, I bet Bill Belichick was so happy when the 49ers threw a bunch of stuff at him to get Jimmy Garoppolo. He was just like, yep, take him.
Although there's debate out there that supposedly Belichick wanted to move on from Brady and stick with Garoppolo. But he didn't get that. That's why there was that tension. But then Brady's like, hey, man, I'm playing until I'm 45. And
maybe
like,
that stuff, I could see that being totally fabricated. Like, hey, we're going to raise this guy's stock real quick.
You know what? That's true. Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just trying to look like he's high on him when he's really not. I mean, they could make anybody look good. And they had Jacoby Brissett played for a game or two with them, and he looked really good with them too.
Belichick also does not care. Remember a couple years ago when Jamie Collins wanted that big contract extension? Dude traded him to the Cleveland Browns the next week. He was like, go ahead. And they were the worst team in the league at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah. I'm saying at tight end, keep an eye on Chris Herndon. He may not even be drafted because he's suspended the first 4 games of the season, but he's a guy you might want to try to swoop off of waivers like right before he comes back. He's flashed a little bit. We need some targets over there for the Jets. Keep an eye on him, I say. I think that's a good spot to end. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for watching our first episode here. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. I don't know. Do we have a Twitter yet?
Not yet. No.
I don't think we have a Twitter yet.
By the time we have this up, we will.
Fine. We'll have a Twitter soon to follow, and it'll be in the description. And share this with all your friends and all that good stuff. Leave us some comments. What do you want to hear next time? What do we do good and bad? See ya.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.